A chilling signal is racing across Europe, whispered first by intelligence officers, then echoed by defense analysts, and finally shouted by politicians who can no longer ignore it. Russia's attack on NATO might already be in motion. Not in the form of missiles or tanks rolling across borders, at least not yet, but through something far more subtle, dangerous, and strategic. Something the Kremlin calls Phase Zero. And tonight, we're breaking down exactly why this phase could mean an imminent confrontation with the world's most powerful military alliance. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Frontline Report channel. Please subscribe and like my videos. It helps the channel grow and allows me to keep bringing you deep dive breakdowns into global conflicts, military power struggles, and intelligence-level analysis. Now let's get into what Phase Zero really means, what it signals about Russia's next move, and why NATO is suddenly preparing for the worst. All around Europe, people see the exterior signs of rising tension: armored vehicles moving on highways in Poland, NATO jets scrambling more frequently over the Baltic, warships positioned in tighter formations across the Arctic and the Black Sea. The exterior environment itself looks like something out of a pre-war documentary: frozen landscapes illuminated by convoys, hardened command bunkers humming with activity, and soldiers training through the cold night. These images aren't just exercises anymore. They are preparation, positioning, and posturing. They reflect a continent slowly absorbing the reality that the peace it has known for decades may be nearing an end. Inside this tense environment sits the interior strategy, the short, sharp, secretive playbook Russia has used for years. This interior structure of Phase Zero is simple but deadly: destabilize, infiltrate, confuse, and weaken an enemy without firing a shot. Cyber attacks, political interference, disinformation, pressure on borders, weaponized migration, energy blackmail, everything designed to soften NATO from the inside before any actual tanks roll. The interior is short but powerful. Russia tests reactions, identifies cracks, then widens them. And according to intelligence officials in Europe, this process is fully underway. Performance becomes the next layer of this unfolding crisis. Russia's military, though challenged by losses in Ukraine, has significantly adapted. Factories are running 24 hours a day, churning out drones, missiles, armored vehicles, and artillery shells at wartime speed. Older Soviet-era equipment is being refurbished and deployed near NATO borders. Electronic warfare units have grown more advanced, jamming communications, GPS signals, and radar systems far beyond the front lines. The performance of Russia's hybrid warfare capabilities is especially alarming. False signals broadcast into NATO airspace, GPS scrambles near Poland and Finland, and cyber attacks on German infrastructure. Every action is a data point in what experts say is Russia's rehearsal for something much bigger. Safety features of NATO's defensive posture are also being tested like never before. NATO radars are stretched thin, tracking a surging number of unidentified drones, military jets, and cyber intrusions. Military bases across Europe have raised alert levels. Even civilian air traffic controllers report increased interference from unknown sources. Safety protocols that were once symbolic are now being activated daily. Interceptor jets taking off within minutes, rapid response battle groups conducting full-scale drills, naval forces raising surveillance thresholds. NATO's safety features are strong, but Russia is probing them, searching for blind spots and slow reactions. Unique selling points, or unique strategic advantages, define why this confrontation matters. For Russia, the advantage lies in unpredictability. Putin relies on shock, sudden escalation, and unconventional tactics. He understands that NATO is powerful but slow to act politically. Russia's ability to move quickly, take risks, and exploit confusion makes Phase Zero extremely dangerous. For NATO, the advantage is overwhelming military capacity, advanced technology, and unified intelligence. But unity is fragile. Russia knows this. The Kremlin's main goal in Phase Zero is not victory through firepower. It's victory through division. If Russia can split NATO politically, even by 10%, it gains an enormous strategic advantage. The price of this potential conflict is staggering. Economic models predict trillions in losses if a direct Russian-NATO clash begins. Energy prices would explode, borders would close, cyber attacks would ripple across financial markets, hospitals, airports, communication networks, and of course, the human cost. Untold lives disrupted, entire regions destabilized, millions potentially displaced. The price is so high that NATO leaders insist war must be avoided at all costs. But Russia's behavior suggests it may be willing to pay that price, believing the West lacks the resolve to respond quickly or cohesively. The conclusion many experts are arriving at is alarming but clear. Phase 0 is not preparation for possible conflict. It is conflict. A slow, quiet, stealthy version of war designed to weaken NATO before the first rocket is ever launched. Whether Russia will escalate to a full-scale attack is unclear, but every action points in that direction. Increased troop deployments, new missile systems stationed near borders, naval exercises simulating blockades in the Baltic Sea, nuclear rhetoric from Russian officials, cyber attacks targeting NATO command structures. These are not random. They are sequential moves in a strategy built on pressure, intimidation, and destabilization. Europe is no longer simply watching events unfold, it's bracing for them. Countries like Poland, Finland, Estonia, Sweden, and Latvia are rushing to build new bunkers, reinforce borders, and train civilians. Germany has activated its largest military mobilization plan since the Cold War. France has prepared rapid reaction forces for sudden deployment. The United States has quietly surged equipment into Europe, reinforcing NATO's eastern front. Every capital feels the tremors of something bigger approaching. Russia understands this fear and uses it. The Kremlin believes that psychological warfare can achieve what conventional war cannot, forcing concessions, weakening alliances, and reshaping borders without firing a single shot. But NATO is beginning to recognize the pattern. Phase 0 is not invisible anymore. It is exposed, identified, and increasingly countered. The next phase is what worries analysts most. Phase 1, the point where hybrid warfare becomes kinetic warfare, where cyber attacks become missile strikes, where border warnings become border breaches. No one knows if Russia will take that step, but every sign suggests the Kremlin is preparing the environment to make that decision possible. This is why awareness is the most powerful tool NATO has right now. Understanding the strategy allows nations to build resilience, counter disinformation, improve cyber defenses, strengthen political unity, and prepare for rapid military response. Phase 0 only works if it remains undetected. Now the world sees it clearly. If war begins, it won't start with an invasion like in 1940. It will start with a blackout, communications dropping, airports shutting down, GPS systems collapsing, satellites disrupted, followed by a sudden burst of force, perhaps in the Baltics, perhaps in the Arctic, perhaps in the Black Sea. A rapid, precise strike intended to overwhelm before NATO can coordinate. That is Russia's blueprint, and NATO knows it. The question now is not whether Phase 0 proves an imminent threat. It does. The question is whether NATO can act fast enough, united enough, and decisively enough to stop Phase 1 from ever happening. The clock is ticking, and as Europe prepares for the most uncertain moment in its modern history, one truth stands above all: ignoring warning signs has consequences, and this time the signals are too loud to ignore.